Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Yay! Monica Garnett is back. And it's always a
Hi.
pleasure to speak to her as a counselor, as a friend, and all she does. She's always super helpful. And I'll have her say hello and introduce her beautiful self today. Go ahead.
Thank you. Hi. So, Monica Garnett. I am the owner and one of the therapists at Garnett Counseling Services. And so we're based out of the South Bay area in California. However, licensed in California, Illinois, Virginia, Nevada, and New Jersey. I almost said New Mexico. Had to stop myself.
You got a lot. Oh my goodness. Awesome.
Yes.
And as a coach, you're working with people all over, right?
Absolutely. As a life coach and substance abuse counseling.
Beautiful.
We can do that nationally. And so we can be reached at garnettcounseling.com, and that's GarnettCounseling.com. Sorry. Had a Monday morning pause.
Exactly. It's okay.
And we can also be reached at 888-427-6006 and Instagram at Garnett_counseling and Facebook Garnett Counseling Services.
Perfect.
So,
All right. And what did you have in mind for us today, darling?
I thought I would deviate a little bit from the heaviness of feelings and thoughts. I know we talked about thoughts last week, and previously before that it was grief. This past week has come up, procrastination has been the topic of the day. And then I thought about this weekend and I kept singing, what is the Bruno Mars song in my head? Today I don't feel like doing anything. I just want to stay in my bed.
Yeah.
And I sing that to myself and I'm like, I'm giving myself space. But sometimes I catch it when I'm procrastinating, when there's things that I just don't want to do. And so procrastination, is just that, delaying or postponing an act. It can be small, it can be little. And then it can also be just avoidance, we're procrastinating it because we're just avoiding it. Or there's something on the other side that, the motivation is there. I can see myself on the other side of the hill. It's just trying to get there. And so there are certain reasons that we procrastinate. But before that, one of the things when I was looking this up caught my attention. And I use myself as, I self-disclose because I feel like I'm the best. Why not? I'm the best subject matter expert of myself. And then I incorporated it with my counseling. And so I was finding that there are certain statements that we use every day. Not thinking that is procrastination, and sometimes it's, oh, you know what? I work well under pressure.
Yeah.
And I think about how many times I've heard that. I work well under pressure. And it's like, why would you put yourself under that pressure?
So true.
Why would you do that to yourself?
Me too. Guilty.
Oh, I am so, so guilty. And then I'm thinking, but really, I'm just delaying the inevitable. Or then I'll do it whenever is whatever it could be. And I'll do it when it's just really just putting it off. And sometimes there's never a good time. I'll do it when it's a better time. I'll do it when I got more rest. I'll do it when, I can sit down. And sometimes I was talking to one person the other day and we were talking about just this, I'll do it when I can sit down.
Yeah.
And then once that time comes to sit down, then who wants to get up?
So true, right? Yeah.
And so do it now. And then the same thing, similar to I'll do it when. I can't right now. I'm too busy.
Always say that. Always say that. Yep.
And so it's, how do I find the right time? Is there a right time? What does that right time look like? And sometimes what we have to do is be purposeful in setting that right time.
Yeah.
But before going all into that, just reasons and sorry, I was just looking to the left. My lovely baby, my fur baby got out and he's in my.
It's awesome. It's okay. We love that. We love
he's
that.
in my plants.
I love it. I love it.
He knows how to do this when I'm busy. But reason and examples of why people may procrastinate. And so motivation,
Ah, that's a good one.
oh
Lack
my
of it and
gosh, sometimes it's the motivation is there. It's just the steps or the task may be too big, or
Mhm.
I can see what it's like on the other side, but I don't have any rewards right now.
Yeah.
You know, how do I, like, say, for instance, someone may want to lose 50 pounds and the big goal is 50 pounds. Well, you know what? I'll start out the first day, I'll start out strong. I'll eat right the first day,
Mhm.
exercise. But
Oh,
then when I think
yes.
about the second day coming, it seems to be a lot,
Harder?
especially to get to that other side. For me, it's 5 pounds.
Uh-huh.
And so it's dealing with that, when it's so far away, where it's on the other side. I always say it's the other side of the hill, because when I think about going on the other side of the hill, you have to climb up, and then, the downside is the easiest part, but the upside, going up the hill, is the one that can be a little tedious, have a little more oomph to it. You can require a little more energy, or sometimes a lot more energy. And so, how do I do that? I break it up. So instead of looking at going back to the example of the 50 pounds, breaking it up into maybe every 5 pounds, or for me, every 1 pound,
Mhm.
you know, or even, it doesn't even have to be broken up into pounds. It could be broken up into, how many times today did I eat correctly? How many times today did I
And the
walk?
accountability factor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, and that's one of the things that I put in there too. Holding, how to hold yourself accountable. Accountability buddies are great, but there are some that like to work alone. So, you know, again, how do I hold myself accountable? How do I make how do I meet myself where I need to be? And sometimes breaking that down into the smaller steps does just that. Um, a lot of times in therapy, people will hear me say, be kind to yourself, be kind to yourself. And that's the theme for me, because we're so hard on ourselves so many
It's
times.
mhm.
Whether it's, I have to do this and I have to do this right. I have to do this. I have to make it big. It has to be big. I have to do
Uh-huh.
everything all in once. And that's another part of procrastination, becoming overwhelmed. There's too much food on the plate.
A lot of times I feel the overwhelm a lot in my life, and that makes us stuck in so many other ways, personally, mentally, physically. Yeah, we're talking
Absolutely.
weight loss, weight gain. We're talking mental stress and anguish, let alone the trickle down effect.
Oh my gosh, yes. And that's when I usually catch myself singing, today I don't want to do anything, because it does trickle down,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
does.
And so, yeah, so it's meeting myself in the middle. Sometimes I think we're kinder to other people than we are to ourselves. So, yeah. And so I'll get off my horse with that one, because I can be on there forever. Another one is fear of failure. What happens if I mess this up? What happens if it's just a flop, and then I look like a fool, or I mess someone else up, or
Um,
things don't come out my way?
mhm.
And so really, it's another thing that I talk about is, what's the truth? Let's face it, sometimes there are things where I do have to take a chance. What can I set up there that's right there next to me that will help me as far as taking that chance? What are those steps that I can take? And then also, if the fear of failure is linked to anything else, seeing a professional, getting to the heart of the matter. One of the things about procrastination, um, it can be what's the word that I'm looking for? It could be a symptom
Mhm.
of anxiety and even depression. But even when I look at the anxiety part, I look at, the worry. the constant worry. What if I fail? What if I succeed? What if, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if? And that what if voice, it can be so strong. So finding out, what do I need to, where is it coming from? And what do I need to help just kind of kick that voice and just sometimes just do it afraid.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is fear of success. What happens if I do make it on the other side of the mountain and it's bigger than what I think it should have been, or what I dreamed of? What if I do good?
Wow.
Some people think, oh my gosh, how do people fear success? But it's so possible. But it goes back to that what if. But the base of it is fear. Why am I afraid? Facing it head on, sometimes having that conversation. Why am I afraid? And again, if I can't address the fear and find the base of it, then finding someone to talk to, talking to a professional about it. And this is the next one is something that I have caught myself doing, being a perfectionist. I'm going to do it when I know that it's going to be perfect, not even right, not even look good, not even getting it accomplished. It has to be right. And that is heavy. That is such a heavy pressure that we put on ourselves, because nothing is perfect. No, not at all. And so I just had another thought, finding the perfection at the end of it and just kind of overseeing what the process is. That's another one as far as being perfect. And again, just like with the fear, excuse me, what's the root of the perfectionism? Why do I need to be perfect? Why does this have to be perfect? And sometimes perfectionist, it just comes from, I know we talked about core beliefs before.
Yeah.
Core beliefs are based in our experiences. Where did I get this information that this has to be perfect? And does this show up anywhere else in my life? And so sometimes it could be a little bit of a deeper dive. It doesn't have to always be, but it excuse me, perfectionism actually is another one that requires a nice heart-to-heart chat with yourself.
Or medical diagnosis
Or
diagnosis of
diagnosis.
like an OCD or something, which I'm diagnosing
Absolutely.
myself with that issue. But go ahead. Yep. Uh-huh.
Talk about that another day.
Yeah. With having everything perfect, having everything organized and clean, because
Oh
it's
yeah.
not. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's amazing. Excuse me. How we could just see just different things in how we do, and how we can hold the mirror up to ourselves and say, okay, this is what needs to be. I need to address this. I need to look at this. And it's everyday stuff. Every day. Another one is underestimating. This is one of my favorites too. Underestimating time constraints. I'm good for and I talk about the plate all the time, putting so many things on my plate, thinking I have all the time to do it. So I think about another analogy I think of is just going to a buffet, cramming everything on my plate and being told that I have 10 minutes to eat.
Yep.
And I remember I was in ROTC. It takes me back to, I was in ROTC in college. And when we would have to eat, we only had, eat. You had only a little bit of time to eat the food. And so there's so many things that get missed and underestimating time constraints. Because if I'm underestimating time constraints and I'm pushing and I've stretched myself thin, then that means I can't give the quality time I do have, or that's needed for each project or each thing that's on my plate. So again, it goes back to setting up reasonable goals. And so I look at the reasonable goals and objectives. Again, making it smaller, prioritizing. That's another one. What can I do now versus what can I do later? And then another one is easily distracted. Just not having the focus. And a lot of times when I have clients who are easily distracted, I just ask them pretty much, okay, so what else is going on that has your attention? Why is this a priority versus what you need to do a priority? And is this the right direction you want to go? Because if the other thing that you're distracted by is a priority, then why not do that first and then come back and do this? It's okay.
You make me feel so good. And I hope our listeners and obviously the people you work with, sometimes they need to hear it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it boils down to giving yourself permission, and going back to being hard on ourselves. How often do we do that? How often do we say, hey, it's okay? Or my favorite thing is having someone set up to say, having someone on the team. And that's another thing I had spoke about, I believe, a while ago, was the team. Who's on your team and what positions do they play? And so having someone set up on your team to be your accountability person. And when we have an accountability person, we think of someone who said, oh yeah, go, 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 go. And they just hold you accountable for everything. But sometimes that accountability person is just there to say, hey, it's okay. Hey, don't forget, it's all right. Breathe, live, rest. Because how often do we do that? Because I think sometimes, and this is my thought, we're such a go, go, go society. It's so easy to get caught up in the storm,
Yeah.
So I love having that accountability person. Unfortunately, mine, she talks a little more than what I want her to. It's my sister.
Oh, that's great. I know we have that same, I think we talked about my sisters, but we're just different, like you and your sister. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully she's listening.
What's her name?
Yeah.
What's her name?
Felicia.
Hi, Felicia. Oh, that's so funny because then the whole Bye Felicia thing came out a few years ago and everyone was saying that. And she was like, it's me.
No, actually, side chat. She hates it.
Wow.
She hates it. So when I can get under her skin, it's bye, Felicia. She's like, shut up, Monica. As you can see, I love to laugh. And that's one of the things too. I think that's one of the things with permission. Sometimes things don't have to be taken seriously. And even when they are, where can I find that space in between to live and to breathe? For me, it's laughter. Sometimes it's maybe a little too much, but hey, it is what it is. But yeah, for me, it's laughter. For some people, it's other things.
Yeah.
And so going back, and then the last one is poor time management. That kind of goes back to underestimating time constraints. But poor time management, just how do I put things on my schedule? I know for myself, I have a tendency to forget me in the middle of the day. And so I have to schedule myself in there for my little breaks. And I find that there are so many people who do that. It's home, work, home, work, home, work. And the thing is, the homework, there's no transition. And then when I'm at home, I'm working because I'm getting up and getting myself dressed. I'm getting the kids ready. I'm doing so many things, just going. Then I jump in my car, and then I'm fighting traffic, literally fighting traffic, getting to work. Excuse me. And then at work, I'm working. And then I'm doing the same thing to get home. And then at home, I'm working again. And then if I have anything else on my schedule, what do I do with all of that? Makes me think back to the video. Gosh, I'm so dating myself. Donna Summer, she works hard for her money. And it showed exactly that. That was back in the 80s.
Wow.
It was like it was yesterday. But yes. But it was just the work. And so how do I spend time for myself? And it goes back to when I look at time management. One, priorities. Of course, the kids can't be at the bottom of the list. Okay. But I definitely need to find myself in there somewhere. And it's so funny. I don't know if I talked about this before. You know how when you get on the airplane and the stewardess, flight attendants.
Yeah, I
says,
get confused what to call them still.
I know.
It was stewardess. Was that like a mean derogatory term or something? What was it? Offensive?
I remember there was something about it.
Okay.
And I want to say it was, but I'll find out. I'm going to find out because that's one of the things that keeps. I'm like, which one do I call you? What do I say? But they'll say, before you put the oxygen mask on someone else, put it on yourself. And so many of my moms say, well, how do I do that? Or not even just my moms, my dads, my grandparents, my aunts, my uncles, everyone that I work with. How do I do that? How do I put the oxygen mask on myself? I have this kid here, or kids, or work, or partner, because they require effort as well. And so how do I put this on myself? And so it goes back to pockets of peace. Finding those little spaces of time for me. That's definitely one. And so when scheduling, and if as an example for scheduling myself and putting myself in my schedule, sounds crazy. It's for my peace, but I'll just pick my cat up and hug him on my shoulder and we go for a small walk, or we just stand outside. He's calm. I'm at peace.
So true. Oh gosh.
Or sometimes I may just, water a few plants, one or two. I don't want a chore. I already have so many things that are part of my time management. And so then it's going back to putting myself in there, but prioritize. Again, the kids can't be forgotten. Work can't be forgotten. But everything else on my list, how do I prioritize that? How do I put all of this together? And then another thing is, if everything is still a priority, is there a way I can delegate? I've become the queen of delegation. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. It's so beautiful. And, sometimes people will say yes, sometimes they'll say no. And I remember I talked to a cousin of mine and she said, well, you have a team to help you. And I said, oh, honey, I had to put my team together. And my team is not just professional, it's personal. I'll call a sister, I'll call one of my sisters, or I'll call my mother, or I'll call a cousin, or I'll call whoever I know can do what. And I just say, here, have it. Yeah. Let me know when you're finished. And then every now and then I may check up on them, hey, how are you doing? Okay, great. Thank you. And go from there. But we are not superhumans. I have not, even though as a kid, I've always wanted to meet Superman, have not met him yet, or Superwoman.
Yeah. Wonder why.
But we put on these capes and we think that we can do it. So yeah.
It is so true.
Oh my gosh, yes.
We can't do it all. Like I told you, I think, recently, like I May 7th, I did so much work in the house, moving dryers, ovens, stoves to clean. And then now I need double hernia surgery on my groin. I got this carpal tunnel thing. I'm going to physical therapy for. I strained my whole body. Like we're not super, we think we are.
Yeah.
But there's the point where you're going to break. And maybe it's okay to ask for help.
Exactly. And so, and then and permission to rest. And you know what? And I'll even go back to permission, because permission isn't a lot of this. Permission to give yourself that time to, especially as a perfectionist, to break things up into smaller bits. I don't have to do all of this at once. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's okay. It's all right.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because and many of the perfectionists that I've met, the it's always about the end goal, the end goal, the end goal, the end goal, the end goal. But when you space it out, you learned, wait a minute, I can enjoy the process too. Bit by bit, I can take this process in. And I still get to the end goal at the same time, sometimes. But I get there and I'm in a much better space. And so what is the priority here? Is it, a lot of times with the procrastination, is it getting to the end goal of the situation or the goal? Or is it getting there and being in a good space and being able to move forward? And I would love to think that is the second one. And so with this second one, giving yourself that space to do that. So yeah. But I've talked.
A lot.
So I've talked so much.
We're good, but we're good.
Okay.
We're able to make up on the time because my 12 o'clock canceled. Because remember, we were a little late with the whole sign-on issue. So we're good.
Okay.
We're good. What else do you want to add to this, darling?
This is it for me. I think I've hit, one last thing. Creating, as far as, I was just looking at my notes, my little cheat sheet here. One of the things that I didn't discuss as far as breaking it up or breaking up the goals is setting rewards along the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I've tried it before, the Weight Watchers model, where 6 days you eat, you go by the points. And then on one of the days, or I think on the 7th day, if I remember this correctly, I may be remembering this wrong. But on the 7th day, you have that reward day. Setting up those rewards, treating yourself. It's okay. I hope that didn't sound spooky. Good. But it's okay. I tell you, I love to laugh. And so, and then actually setting not just a date to end, but a date to start. And I find this so beneficial because when I procrastinate and I wait and I wait and I wait and I feel like I'm in a rush, to get to I'm at crunch time, to get to crunch time. What if I just set a start date to give myself that ample time? So that'll give me the time to rest, do whatever, to set it back or whatever have you, and then I'll be okay. So it's just meeting you where you are. That's it.
Meeting in the middle. All right. And how do we meet with you?
At Garnett Counseling Services .com, and that's GarnettCounseling.com, and 888-427-6006, or Instagram at Garnett_counseling, and Facebook Garnett Counseling Services.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Pleasure to have you here as always, my friend.
Nice.
And we'll talk soon again, I'm sure, next week. All right.
Next week I'll be here.
Thank you, hon. Have a great day. Good luck with the cat.
You too.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.